It is Radio U where music is going, and it's almost surprising that I have My Epic in studio right now. Aaron, Nate, and Jeremiah from My Epic are here. You guys, I hate to call you out on air, but you're a little bit late. Are you on a tight schedule?
Yeah, it involves getting a van problem fixed, so it's been a wild day.
Well, then I guess it's impressive that you made it at all.
Yeah, you should be super impressed.
Yeah, absolutely impressed.
Yeah.
We are all impressed. So what have you guys, you were here like a year ago, right? Mm-hmm. Besides releasing a new EP, the obvious, what else have you been up to over the past 12 or so months?
We wrote that EP.
We wrote that record, and I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, and what else? You probably beat some video games and made some records.
I recorded loads of music.
He makes other records, and Jeremiah, you've had some significant things, right?
Oh yeah, just life.
Life.
My wife and I got pregnant for a second time. So
wow! Congratulations.
Yeah.
So the Louisville, Kentucky move, what was that like? Can you share why you decided Louisville, Kentucky was the place to go?
Well, my wife and I just have. I lived in inner city Charlotte, North Carolina, in my mid late 20s, and just loved living in the inner city and loved doing work there and kind of being. I just like being around a lot of people. It's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And it seems to me a little easier to live out my convictions in that way and in that place. And so we've been praying about that for years and kind of praying for freedom. And we ended up kind of visiting a couple major cities and just kind of felt like Louisville made the most sense. So we moved to the West End, to a neighborhood called Portland, and we love it there.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Have you been to the Bat, the big giant
bat? Yeah, the Slugger Museum.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's Louisville's a pretty cool city, but besides if you there's the Louisville thing, and then there's a Slugger thing, and then there's the horse racing, and there's bourbon.
Right.
And that's pretty much all the people. I'm sure there's a lot of other cool stuff.
Yeah.
But we're pretty poor, so we pretty much just the people in my neighborhood are as interesting as anything I could pay for.
You haven't lived the tourist life; you've lived the actual living there life.
Yeah.
Right.
We did do the Slugger Museum, but because someone came into town.
Right. Yeah. They
wanted
I
to
get
do
it.
Yeah.
So you're out on tour right now. That just kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the plan? How long does that run?
It runs till the beginning of June. So it's kind of just the whole eastern half of the country. So if you live in the eastern half of the country, then you should come. Tonight here, obviously, in Columbus, and we just sort of go up towards the northeast and then down to Florida and then circle over through, I think, New Orleans is the farthest. Mm-hmm. And then home.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll do some more touring on the record later this year or whenever it works out.
And then I just saw you got Audio Feed Festival added on.
Yeah. We love Audio Feed. We've played it for the last few years, but we weren't going to play it this year just because we weren't going to be on tour at the time. And then they reached out a few weeks ago, and we were stoked to play again. So it all worked out. Nice.
Great that worked out. And for anybody, if you're interested in Audio Feed or all the My Epic stuff, it's at RadioU.com on the Insider page to see where they're going to be. So tell us, we've got White Noises coming up. Tell us a little bit about the album and White Noises specifically. What I know, Violence is a lot different than Ultraviolet.
Mm-hmm.
What were you guys thinking, I guess, when you came up with Violence?
Yeah, I mean, we originally had the idea right after we finished our 2 records ago record called Viscera, and we just always look for new challenges as a band. We don't ever really want to hit the same target. I mean, we know that with the 5 of us being involved and our styles being certain ways, that it's going to have a unity to it. So we were just looking for a new way to challenge ourselves. And so with Ultra, it was let's do one EP that is kind of the softer side of our groovier, vibier, more ambient stuff, and kind of tie our heavy hands behind our back and see what is it. And that challenge of finishing songs and making them feel emotionally complete without going heavy was interesting. And then the second EP being let's focus on the heavy. And we're still a dynamic band,
right? So
Ultraviolet was a little vibier, and Violence is definitely it slams a lot harder.
Oh yeah,
and then thematically we kind of really felt like we wrote a song called Open Letter a couple records ago, and it talked about doubt and how do you cope with that, and as you're processing and growing into your own system of beliefs and your own faith, what do you do when you realize some of what you thought needs to go in the trash, and there's other things that you never believe that need to come into that you realize are true. And so Ultraviolet's kind of more about that, and Violence is more just how do we deal with really tough things. And Yeah, it was a raw record, and it talks about a lot of really hard things. But I mean, even in the Book of Psalms, there's so many Psalms where David's pretty angry.
Yeah,
where he's asking tough questions, and God seemed really okay with that. So we felt like it was actually a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't think bottling anything up is really helping anybody.
No, and it's good that like in the space we're in, sometimes you don't get the angrier music like that. So, or just the kind of questions or the songs dealing with that. So, one last thing before we get you out of here, this song features Cory from Norma Jean.
Sure.
How did that work out? Did you write it with him in mind, or was it like we have this different part, maybe he can do it, or was he like there the whole time?
We did a tour with them in a band called For Today and a band called Silent Planet a couple years ago, and we became friends with Cory, and we're huge Norma Jean fans. We love that band, and so at the time we got to know him, like, hey, love to do something together. And we had the idea already for these two EPs. Neither of them were written, but we're gonna do. And we already knew what they were called. Even it was just kind of weird for us. And I was going to pitch it to him, and I was halfway through the sentence, and he's like, "I'm in." And I was like, "Sweet." So we wrote Ultraviolet, and we knew like that was never gonna work. And we were writing Violence, and we kept asking, "Oh, is this song maybe the one we do with Cory or whatever?" And the day we wrote the first riff for White Noises, we were like, "That's the Cory song."
Yeah.
And reached out, and I had the idea at that time. And I mean, hopefully the record is hopeful to people if they're getting what we're meaning. The record is heavy, but it's hopeful. And this idea of two people arguing and not listening to each other and not realizing how similar they sound was a way for us to talk about the lack of empathy and what happens when everybody wants to be heard but no one wants to listen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it comes through really well. Okay, so you guys are in Columbus tonight. Where and when is the show exactly?
It's at the Big Room Bar. And the show, let's see, doors are at 7 and music starts at 7:30.
All right, good deal. Still time to get out there. Aaron, Nate, and Jeremiah of My Epic, thanks for coming by, you guys.